Good afternoon. I'm Lisha Cheng, Sandy. I'm a Year 5 student from the Education University of Hong Kong. I'm majoring in Chinese education. I like to teach those ethnic minority students, so I found a society that can offer me a chance to teach those non-Chinese speaking students. I am now working for the Hong Kong Refugee Union as a tutor to organize some free of charge Cantonese class. And yeah, I go to the center every weekend, and so that I can have lessons with them. My goal is to teach those non-Chinese speaking students, those refugee children, Chinese, because I want them to get along well with the people at school, because they still have to go to school even though they are refugee children. Yeah. I really enjoy teaching them because compared to those traditional teaching with those Chinese, the local children, and for those ethnic minority students, they are more active, they are willing to make reply to your questions. And I think that's they do pay attention in my class, and then they are very active, so that the whole lesson is really dynamic, and then it's really fun. The most difficult challenge I'm now facing is the lack of idea in writing those teaching materials, because all the teaching materials are tailor-made by me, and then I spend lots of time to teach them some useful Chinese phrases, so that they can use those Chinese knowledge in their daily life. But since I have helped the class for almost 3 years, and then I need more idea to write those teaching content. 咁我中文教材方面咧，其實我寫嗰陣時都遇到好多困難啦，因為我差唔多全部一啲教材都寫過晒㗎啦。咁主要嗰啲教材都係關於佢哋日常生活上㗎啦，因為我覺得如果唔關佢哋即係生活上用唔到嘅，咁佢哋係唔會記入腦啦。如果教咗一啲例子、一啲詞語佢哋句子咧，佢哋係可以喺日常生活度用到嘅話，咁佢哋就會記得好啲啦，同埋係真係有用咯。咁我除咗嗰啲教材係關於買嘢、行街買嘢啊、睇醫生嘅嗰啲，我都會教嘅喎。咁識朋友嗰啲當然會教啦。另外佢哋日常生活見到一啲嘢咧，我全部都會教。譬如依家有一個杯，咁我就教佢杯咁樣講。咁之後就會教下一啲設施嘅嗰啲詞語，我都全部都會教。我覺得嗰個課程嗰個改革係需要好多個人力物力嘅，因為我覺得現時嗰個中文課程係俾嗰啲非華語學生係完全係唔足夠啦，同埋係一啲教材咧有啲過時啊，因為我見有啲詞語啊都係唔係一啲我哋廣東話或者一啲比較正式嘅中文嚟嘅喎，咁我覺得佢哋學咗就好似講一啲半鹹半淡嘅説話咁樣。如果當嗰個學生佢係外國人咁樣，或者佢係一個非華語學生，佢學一啲唔係地道嘅廣東話或者中文去學嘅時候，咁佢學咗都冇益處，同埋有時候可能真係溝通唔到嘅喎。咁我希望咧嗰個課程改革方面咧，會針對咁樣去整翻一啲合乎佢哋水平嘅即係對佢哋有用啲嘅，同埋係冇咁過時，同埋地道少少嘅中文俾佢哋認識多啲咯。如果你要教一啲非華語嘅學生或者一啲南亞裔嘅學生咧，我覺得你要好有活力啦，同埋好多能量嘅，即係啦，因為咧佢哋係好多問題會問你㗎。如果你即係唔中意答人問題，覺得佢哋好煩嘅話，咁我覺得你就唔係幾適合去教佢哋咯喎。因為佢真係好想老師係會幫佢啦，同埋佢哋好好學㗎，我覺得。因為佢哋始終對中文呢樣嘢都唔係好熟悉嘅時候咧，佢哋會 好想去學好中文，就會一直咁樣揾你。咁其實你要欣賞佢哋呢個毅力喎，咁樣。咁另外咧，除咗呢個要有耐性啊，有活力啊，咁同埋你要有好多心思咯。第二就係心思係好重要嘅，因為你有時候出一啲教材係同一個模式咧，佢哋會覺得悶啦，之後佢哋上堂就會亂講嘢啦。咁所以你要得閒咧，就會換下一啲教學嘅內容啦，換下一啲得意啲嘅教學活動，咁令到佢哋咧會專心喺呢個課堂，同埋會好投入。我覺得如果要教一啲非華語嘅學生咧，咁其實真係要需要讀一啲課程嘅喎，因為有時候你會覺得，咦呢個同學仔佢一出世佢唔係講中文嘅喎，佢母語都唔係中文嘅時候，佢點樣可以學識第二種語言咧？咁所以我覺得係需要讀一啲課程去了解一下佢哋點樣學習語言嘅，點樣去習得一啲語言啦。另外就係要學寫一啲教材係俾一啲非華語學生，因為佢哋始終係程度上係唔同呢個本地學生，你唔可以用翻我哋原本寫教材俾一啲本地學生嘅模式去寫一啲教材俾佢哋，可能要做一啲調色啊，同埋要用一啲小報紙嘅模式去設計一啲課堂活動，等佢哋更好咁樣去掌握一啲語文知識。同埋另外一啲課程其實都俾咗好多一啲教學理論啦，咁你都可以嘗試去運用一啲教學理論去寫你嘅教材，咁啊令到你嗰啲教材嗰個成功咧，即係令到佢哋成功學到中文嘅機會大好多。如果你係第一次去教一啲非華語嘅學生咧，咁我就有啲小 tips 俾你哋啦。第一個咧就係要有一個要忍得住啊，因為咧有時候你見到全部人都係外國人嘅話，你好想講英文，但係一個正常嘅中文課堂咧，你係絕對唔應該講英文啦。咁因為啲學生知道你識講英文嘅時候，佢就會 keep 住即係保持住係咁用英文同你溝通喎。咁所以咁樣就會令到佢哋講中文嘅機會越嚟越少喎。咁所以你要忍得住啦，就要全程要用中文嘅。咁如果遇到一啲好難嘅字喎，譬如凳咁樣咁。椅子咁樣，咁佢都聽唔明中文嘅時候，咁你要嘗試用圖片解釋啦。如果圖片都解釋唔到，咁你就唯有將嗰個英文咧寫喺黑板，而唔係用你把口講出嚟。因為你千祈唔好俾佢知道你嗰個中文課堂原來可以講英文咯。咁你要將呢個規則係寫得好清楚嘅。咁第二就係要有一個好學嘅心啦。有時候啲學生上你堂就係聽到中文嘅時候都覺得悶，咁你可以嘗試去學一啲佢哋嘅語言，等佢哋覺得好有趣啊！原來呢個老師好叻㗎喎，佢識我哋嘅語言喎，咁樣所以都要有一個好學嘅心嘅。另外咧，第三個 tips 就係要有一啲好清晰嘅課室管理嘅一啲規則咁樣，令到佢哋知道你個課堂其實係唔容許佢哋走嚟走去啊，同埋唔容許佢哋上堂嘅時候做一啲唔適當嘅行為。同埋我覺得可以參考我曾經喺實習學校教書嗰陣時睇咗一個課堂，咁嗰個老師咧就係話，佢整咗一個好有趣嘅一個規則，就係俾啲學生喺堂上傾偈，但係必須係用中文喎。咁我就覺得哇，好好啊！如果佢用中文嘅話，咁我唔介意佢傾偈咯，因為佢用緊中文去傾偈嘅時候，就可以俾到好多機會佢去用中文去同人哋溝通，同埋會更加掌握一啲課堂學到嘅一啲中文咁樣啦。咁我不如分享一下我有一啲設計教材嘅一啲方法啦。咁依家我其實設計教材咧，我主要都係用一啲故事，即係圖畫書嗰啲故事去教佢哋一啲生字嘅，或者一啲句子。咁我會嘗試用呢個引領思維學習法去講故事俾佢聽啦。咁喺講故事嘅期間咧，咁我會問佢哋好多問題，等佢哋答我個問題嘅時候都嘗試用中文，咁就多咗機會去練習呢個中文啦。咁除咗用呢個引領思維學習法之外咧，咁我就會設計好多揾咗一啲童謠啊、一啲詩歌咁樣去教佢哋唱歌。唱歌嘅時候咧，要配合好多嘅肢體動作啦，一邊跳舞一邊唱，咁佢哋就會記得好啲嘅喎。咁所以我建議老師咧喺設計教材方面咧，要多啲肢體動作嘅，等同埋嗰啲詩歌咧係要押韻啦，咁就讀起嚟都好容易，同埋佢哋會學得好啲。